All right. So hello, everyone, and welcome to another expert session number 69. Today we sit down with Paulo Felix, Client and Services Director at FCAMARA Europe, an Evolve member to explore what it really takes to scale a B2B company across borders. Some information here about Paulo with over 25 years of experience and over 80 quarters of revenue responsibility.
Mhm.
Paulo Felix leads FCAMARA's European operations from Portugal. He specializes in connecting technology with growth, overseeing commercial strategy in e-commerce, CRM, software engineering, and AI. He also advises early stage B2B startups on governance, sales processes, and partner programs. Paulo reads about stoicism and the future of work, but prefers hard data when it's time to execute. Paulo, we'll always start with a controversial question. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say thank you to AirMeet for making this possible always. And the controversial question for you is, Paulo, if you had 30 million euros, 30 million euros to expand a B2B tech company in Europe, would
Mm.
you buy an existing player even if it slows you down, or build it from scratch for speed? Which one creates more strategic value long term?
Great, nice question, Carlos. We starting in good shape. So,
Coming in hot.
great. It's not a discussion or a conversation. It's more like MMA. But okay, so when you are going abroad, you have a lot of some paths to pursue. So partnerships, acquiring companies, making joint ventures, organically spending. I would say that having a B2B tech business or a software business or something, it's not by itself information or context enough to make this decision because um, let's take let's use an extreme example like SAP. So that it would make no sense for SAP entering a new country, acquiring an existing ERP software company, because the end of the day they are not going to keep their software. They are going to enroll clients on migrations and difficult discussions. So usually it's not a good choice. However, companies like Sage Software from UK, they mostly made their growth by acquiring local software companies. And the idea behind this, Carlos, is they do not have the intention in most of the regions to share software between different countries. So, in that sense and in that context, for this strategy, acquiring is by far the most intelligent approach for entering a new country.
Very good. Yeah. Thank you for that, Paulo. We will explore. I think you kind of mentioned, but the trade offs between JV acquisition and organic growth.
Mhm.
How to structure a scalable B2B sales engine in international markets, when enterprise sales and channel partnerships work and when they don't. I think that's also a big one, right? The cultural and operational mistakes leaders make when entering new geographies. We have Martina here. It's very nice to see her. She has something also to say about that. And what commercial governance looks like when you're aiming for consistency at scale. So, Paulo, to start, well, let's start with you guys. You've been in sales for many years, like many years. We had the opportunity to see each other now in Alicante. We were there at an event where I was
Mhm.
speaking, and you guys were sponsored the event, so it was really cool to see you there. So the first question, perhaps before we start, just give us a quick intro about your experience and yeah, your role there at FCAMARA. I introduced you, but I think it's a good start.
Yeah, great. So I'm the kind of guy that didn't start by selling stuff. In fact,
Mhm.
my background and my academic background is in engineering, mechanics, manufacturing, not related to IT or software or this kind of thing. But I made this choice because in the early days of my career, my idea was to be a production consultant with ERPs. So, but functional consultant, not the
Yeah.
software developer or something. But as time passed and some opportunities presented themselves to me, I had the chance to migrate from the technical side of the business to the business side. And this happened 20 years ago, more or less, when I started designing what today is the TOTUS cloud operation at TOTUS, the largest software company in Brazil and most probably in Latin America. And this was my very first step in the commercial side. And afterwards, I passed and climbed the corporate ladder as a sales specialist, account executive, account director, sales manager, channel manager, regional manager, and whatever. And before moving to Portugal, my career has been spent and invested in past in TOTUS for 14 years. Then the 7 6 7 years that remained in SAP and Oracle. So very large software companies, very established companies. So startups in this period of my career was not my natural environment. And the seed of entrepreneurship started with a partnership because in at SAP, I was in charge of bringing the traditional channels to the cloud environment. So imagine companies that were in 10 years ago, the usual business of them was to sell multi-million pro implementations of SAP. And in some point in time, SAP started to say, hey, there is a subscription software here for HR, for sales, for travel expense. And partners started to struggle on going leaving these offers to the market. So as I was working with the cloud and SaaS since 2005, more or less, um, they reached me and and kidnapped me to join the partnership team in Brazil and starting to do this, helping to do this transition. And as you always say, Carlos, and relationship, the dots of relationships and connections, you only can see by the mirror. You cannot see ahead of you what's possible to happen. And one of the partners that I used to manage in SAP, mm, 4 years after I left SAP, invited me to start a new operation here in Portugal. It was a consultancy, a boutique consultants of SAP, specialized in customer experience products such as commerce, CRM, marketing, whatever. And this was the opportunity that made me and my wife and my family think about moving moving to Portugal, because it was never a plan of mine, and neither to anyone in my family, to live another country. So it wasn't a plan for us, and this was, in some sense, it was a easy decision. In another sense, it wasn't, because of the family and the links and the other people you live in the country. But I moved to Portugal, started this operation. The company was very nice, even with the pandemics in 2020. were able to make a very good job here, and it, this was so true that EY acquired the company in early 2021. So I I only could dance with this endeavor for 1 year and something. I joined EY Portugal for a couple months, but things didn't happen I that I as I expected. The expectations and the plans of the consulting practice here were directed and focused on other practices such as cybersecurity and whatever. And it started to make sense for me to leave EY and to start a new path. And this is where FCAMARA crossed my path. I knew Fabio, the founder. I knew Artur, who currently is the co-CEO, and we started discussing an international the materialization of the internationalization plan of FCAMARA in a organic perspective initially. And this is how in late 2021 I joined FCAMARA as a local partner and also responsible for sales and service. And there are two ways, and I'm trying to connect here on what you initially asked. And there are two ways to think about internationalization. And also made a post in LinkedIn a couple hours ago about this topic. uh, Products and service businesses are very different. When I say product, I'm talking about software, because consulting and service business is about generating value from man hour. It's
Mhm.
simple as that. So you have a capacity, you have a capability. This capacity capability has a reference cost per hour. You sell delivery services in close the scope or allocation or whatever the type of the engagement you close with the client. There is no upfront investment. You only allow this capacity and this capability to work, and it's done. Period. That's it. When you have a software business, and obviously this is changing in some sense, because you can currently you are able to accelerate the development of the software. But even today, you have to spend a lot of money before you're going to the market consistently. So you have a break-even point, and this is much higher when compared to the consulting businesses. When I am in my homeland, when I go abroad, the difference becomes very, very much harder to deal with, because when we are talking about products and software, we are talking in the end of the day about something that delivers something. If this something doesn't work, you just cancel the contract and that's it. Period. You have commercial flexibility, you have localization, you have support, you have a lot of stuff to be concerned about, but it's all addressable. When you go to the service side, service is not something that you pick up on a shelf. So service is much about relationship. Relationship
Mhm.
is important, but is not enough. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient. It's about trust.
Mhm.
It's about reputation. And in this sense, going back to the first hot question you made, if I was starting a service business looking for internationalize a service business today, I would prioritize a scouting of the market, looking for opportunities to acquire companies. Because the learning curve and the investment curve when you go to other countries and you have to build the reputation, the relationships, the connections, is
Hmm.
is very long, especially in relationship driven countries like the countries in the European Union. So I'm talking about Portugal, I'm talking about Spain, even Netherlands, which is known as a trader country in some sense.
Hmm.
Even the Netherlands, relationship is very important to do business. So in every country, it is, but in countries like the US, you have a highly competitive marketing, but you can do business without deep relationships. You have more transactional relationships. Here in Europe, you have usually, in terms of service, long-lasting relationships, and as the engagements and the business relationships last for long times, it's very, very hard to enter. It's also very,
Hmm.
very hard to be to be terminated, but it's very hard to enter when you take too much time to enter. All this time you were not allocating people, you were in some sense spending money, and not necessarily this is a good usage of your capital.
I think it's an interesting perspective. From the acquisition uh, perspective, I would perhaps challenge. I see the velocity in terms of entering the market, but on the other hand, I think when the integration can be really hard, and that is true for any M&A process, right? Like, so because you have different culture shocks, like, um, and then there's all the legal part, how this is structured, but that is one thing that I would say the trade-off, and I would like to ask you on from your perspective and your experience there, not only at Camera but everything that you've seen in all of these years, like
Mhm.
this for example, you were working for a company, you were working for Ernest Young, and then there was a probably a culture shock eventually, and things didn't go as you expected, and that's very normal, right? So that's
Yep.
I think that's the most normal scenario to expect when you were
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
acquired, right? So tell us about that, Paulo, because I think that's interesting.
Oh, and I have a friend that say in M&A, A is easy, M is hard. So, so because the end of the day, reaching the A is about aligning
Mhm.
expectations, terms, and conditions. Period.
Right.
A lot of people think that the M&A is done when the SPA or the close of the operation is completed. This is far from the truth. The game begins when you have the acquisition process concluded, because the success or the insuccess of the operation relies on the merging. And merging is not there. There's no absolute truth in terms of merging businesses, because you may have a business that you acquire only as a shareholder, and I can
Mhm.
give you some examples on that. uh, there are businesses that you acquire to integrate in your structure and your offerings, and there are businesses that you do not want to be as away as a shareholder, but you do not want either this business as close as a department. Let me give you some examples, including our here. So we acquired earlier this year Beta E. Beta E is an innovation company with a very strong reputation, not only in Portugal but in a lot of countries. It's a major player in innovation, in open innovation for the energy ecosystem globally, for instance. Uh, Beta E is a milestone for us in terms of internationalization. It's not a large company with hundreds of millions of turnover, but they allow us, FCAMARA, to have the possibility to access people and companies that we would need to take a lot of more time to get the same access without them. This is one perspective. The another perspectives, they have innovation business. It's not a tech business. So they do not develop software. They do not implement Salesforce or Shopify or nothing like that. So we can partner, but makes a lot of sense for us to leave them and the partners, the original partners of Beta E, uh, managing and running the business more or less like they used to do, because they were successful until this point, and we want them to remain successful after the acquisition. And it will be wise, and we are pursuing that path, to remain them on their path, but connecting with them to take advantage of their relationships, and in some senses building joint offers for the clients. But we are not actually merging the companies. Makes no sense for us in this case. In other cases that we had in Brazil, made a lot of sense to integrate the companies because the offers were the same, the clients were more or less the same, the operating model was more or less the same, the culture were more or less the same. So here in our company, we have the both situations. Let's go out. Let's go to SAP. SAP acquired in to 2018 or 19, if I'm not wrong, they acquired Qualtrics. Qualtrics is a customer experience management software. It was in that year, if I'm not wrong, the largest M&A in the software space. And SAP made the wise decision of keeping Qualtrics segregated from the SAP structure. They put Qualtrics in their price list. They enabled the Salesforce and partners to sell and to implement Qualtrics. Qualtrics started to count on a global wide, in a worldwide sales and partnership structure that they didn't have prior of the acquisition. But the end of the day, SAP realized that they were, in some sense, locking value from Qualtrics by keeping the company under the umbrella of SAP. 2 years ago, they sold the company to a private equity. Qualtrics and SAP remain partners, but they divested with a very relevant profit from Qualtrics, because there was no important synergy to be acquired and to be acquired from this merging. And another example that I can give you is one software group called Cegid Software. It's a French group, and they are acquiring software companies throughout the Iberia. Here in Portugal, they acquired in the last 2 or 3 years. They acquired the 2 or 3 major ERP mid-market software companies here. They acquired, I think, 2 or 3 more companies in Spain, and one or more in Italy and in France. And what they are doing right now, so they acquire the companies, they keep the acquired company independent for a while they connect the acquired company to a global roadmap, connect to practices, start building the bridges to enable people from the acquired company to join the group in a sustainable, organized, and with a comprehensive time frame. And this is what, at least by now, is making these acquisitions from Segid work. And these different approaches to the M&A operations, they have, and you mentioned this is, and I think this is very important. They are highly impacted and influenced by the corporate company. If you look to Oracle acquisitions, Oracle has a acquisition factory in some sense. So it's easy for them. They have processes, they have team, they have tools, they have everything to integrate, to effectively integrate an acquired company in up to 90 days. I saw this happening. So it was amazing. Yeah, amazing. It's a very organized process, but it's a bulldozer. They turn the engine on, forget it. So things will happen regardless of who is going to remain. And okay, this is Oracle culture. Oracle culture is a bulldozer. So they behave this way. This is their behavior. It's consistent. To the end of the day, there's no successful M&A, in my perspective, without having consistency between your approach to M&A, to the M, and to the A. Consistency between companies, cultures, values, and the unique value proposition that relies in each company card.
It's very cool. Thank you, Paulo. It's actually way better than I expected. So awesome. Congrats, man. Paulo, as you know, I always like to leave space here for the community to jump in. So Gustavo, if you could just start getting people ready to join us at the backstage so we can position them in the main stage. Cool. Perhaps you can mention, you've been seeing how we're building Evolve, and the thesis for us as we started, Gustavo and I, we come from, and I'm going to be selfish here, get your
Mm-hmm.
advice as well. You know, I come from a background where I've done international expansion multiple times, and I've seen quite a bit of success in, for example, the VTEX is one of the cases where
Mm-hmm.
I found uh, typically former C-level folks who are now consultants, and they have they have a network, and
Yep.
so I always use their network to accelerate the presence of a company in a new market. So that's how I've been doing things, and that's the go-to-market strategy
Uh-huh.
that I've used for multiple years, um, and started doing that for my clients, and that's how we started Evolve, right? So initially we were creating a network of former senior C-level, and then companies, and pitching companies like you guys, you know, to sponsor Evolve. But
Mm-hmm.
everyone wanted an ROI in what we wanted to do, so it was very difficult to prove the ROI last year, and then we shifted the approach. So now we noticed that senior pros, they were approaching us saying, what you guys have there is very cool. So we productize, we managed to create a very solid offer. Now it makes sense, there's a product market fit in our
Mm-hmm.
community. I'd say we have members paying us. And then on the other hand, companies out now, specifically scale ups and companies with funding, they are approaching us and they're seeing what we're doing, and they're interested in sponsoring Evolve. So that's cool. It seems that there's an opportunity there. What I like to ask you is go to market, and when is it that what could you share about the what do you have to get right when you're going to market, specifically when you're expanding into a new market? And I mean, I think there, as you're saying, there's joint ventures, there's acquisitions, the different routes. But your playbook, I shared my playbook. My playbook has always been finding influential people, typically who used to work for well-known organizations, building relationships, leveraging their network, creating content, and so on. So, what's the Paulo's playbook? What do you have to get right?
Okay, so two ways. So first, as a service company, as I mentioned, the most relevant challenge is to be recognized, because when someone is looking to buy something for a B2B business, it's easy to say, people are concerned about the ROI, people are concerned about the functions and functionalities, about the blah blah blah. Okay, it's also important, it's also necessary, but it's not sufficient, because service has an attribute that everything is a promise until it's done. And as everything is a promise until it's done, people need to rely on you, because in some sense, and depending of the service you sell, and I will mention our experience and my experience in that sense, um, in some sense, people are maybe getting their careers by choosing you instead of X, no matter who.
Nobody ever got fired for choosing IBM. That's the line, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and nothing is closer to the truth than this. Nobody has been fired by hiring SAP and implementing SAP with Accenture. Period. This is not true because bullshit. It's true, and it will be true for a lot of years from now, because uh, it's reliability. It's the ability to be sued. It's ability to be to have and to be capable of mobilizing a workforce. But we are not. Look, we are FCAMARA because of our founder, but the company would call P. Felix or C. Monteiro or Evolve or whatever. The question is, when I started at camera here, nobody knew nothing about us except, and this is interesting, except who had the experience of working with the company down in Brazil. And therefore, my playbook for starting in other countries, and I'm exercising it in other European countries, is first finding who knew and finding who know us, because they are former employees, former clients, former partners, doesn't matter. So, who knows us from other experiences? Second, technological partners, preferably uh, with who I can offer something different that the local partners are offering. And as a company started, we and headquartered in Brazil, we have a blessing in some sense, that is having a very large market, a sophisticated market in terms of digital services, and the behavior of the Brazilian executive usually is to test new things quickly as soon as they are launched. And we are using in Brazil things that are not being used in Europe yet. I'm not making any judgment on fast is good and not fast is not good. Doesn't matter. The fact is, we have the possibility to exercise their things before bringing to Europe. And this may be, and sometimes it is, a milestone on going to, for example, to Microsoft or to IBM or even to SAP, and telling, hey guys, this offering X that you are trying to gain traction here and you are struggling because partners are not engaged with this thing, I've done 80 times in Brazil in the last 18 months. AI is an example for us. And having this kind of company with local presence, with global reputation, and these guys taking me with them and presenting me to the client, it's a warm introduction with a lot of credentials, and this opens widely the doors for allowing me to do business. This is not a deal insured by itself, but you are removing from you a lot of barriers prior to the discussion. So first, no looking up for who knows you. Second, looking up for technological partners that can open doors and do money with you. And third, not usually a priority for us at least, finding potential business partners or referral partners. But this is the base path we pursue here.
Thanks very much. We have Mihaela. Mihaela, welcome. Please go ahead.
Hi, do you hear me all?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, great. I'm gonna turn on the camera as well.
great.
Yeah, I was just, first of all, thank you for the presentation and the conversation, actually. I was wondering in your experience, are some market signs or data points that tell you that local market is worth pursuing in terms of marketing and acquisition, and what are some red flags that tell you, okay, maybe this is not actually the good market?
It's a very nice question, Mihaela. Thank you for that. So I think first, a small market is not a bad market by itself, because there's this line of thinking that you need to scale and the global scale, the global reach. Look, scale is a different thing for different businesses, for different entrepreneurs. If I produce high quality exclusive wines, reaching scale for me is maybe selling 1,000 bottles per year, and that's it. This is a scale for me. If I'm Sograpi, I need to sell millions of bottles per month, because this is my point of scale and this is my value proposition. In our businesses, and your business is very similar to ours, I think it's more or less the same. So data points first. What is the nature for us? We have we have a blessing and a problem at the same time, which is the variety of our capabilities. So we have capabilities in e-commerce, in cybersecurity, in innovation, as I mentioned, in a lot of topics. So first thing is on your capabilities, which is the most likely to be successful abroad. And this is also related to how this capability is attached or influenced. Every capability is, but some are more than others, influenced by the local markets, local behaviors, local regulations, local stuff. Okay, when you have this set of offerings that can be taken abroad, let's look to the market and see what is the market that may offer based on our structure, on our target clients, on our offering, on our partners, and let's select environments and countries that may be potential success cases for that. Obviously, you can rely on data provided, for instance, to make a macro analysis on data provided by IDC or Gartner or Visual Capitalist or whatever. And this is a reference. Let's take not being too extensive on the in the answer. let's take the e-commerce business. So we started as a company in the e-commerce space. So 18 years of company dedicated to e-commerce. It's not our business anymore, but it's a relevant business yet. Okay. Our initial thesis was, let's start in Portugal by providing staff augmentation services. Okay, so people need developers, they need technicians. There's a lot of companies allocating people. We have a bunch of people in Brazil, blah 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 blah. In the surface, nice. When you go and make a dive, not deep yet, we start to better selecting and qualifying the attributes that the clients look up for vendors. People need to be proficient in French, for instance. This is a problem for me. I do not have a local team yet, and I do not have in Brazil a potential source of many people that speak French fluently. Problem. This automatically excludes France, Morocco, for instance, as target countries. Portugal speaks Portuguese like Brazil, right? But in Portugal, you have two realities. You have the realities of the local companies and the multinational companies like BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes, Bosch, you can mention, name it. To serve these companies, I need to have a staff that is fluent in English. I can bring these people to my company. I can. So I'm able to provide the service. Am I able to provide the service in a timely fashion as client required? Okay. Okay. So I'm looking for qualitative and quantitative data that first make me have the allow me to have the confidence that I'm at least competitive in the market. I'm not looking for differentiation in the first stage. Am I competitive? Am I able to play the game? I'm able to play the game. Okay. What are the parts of these markets is that idea of term, sum, and sum. What is the part of the sum that I can uh, access with differentiation? And this exercise is a mix of quality and quant. It's important as a service company to look for the qualitative stuff. It's unlikely that you'll be able to provide services in Spain without relying in a team that is fluent in Spanish. This is a qualitative topic and it's excludable. If you do not have this, you are not able to drive there. Period. It's impossible. No, it's unlikely. Then this affects your prioritization. Did I answer?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you for your detailed answer. Um, Actually, I was wondering, since you're also someone who's working with AI to some
Mhm.
extent, and as well e-commerce, how do you see AI adoption in this industry?
Yeah, I was having this discussion with a director of Microsoft another day, and I think, well, in Brazil we have like almost 100 AI projects developed and delivered in the last 18 to 18 months, more or less. Okay. There's a lot of exploratory projects and there's a lot of production projects. And this is what really moves the needle. When I was discussing this topic with this Microsoft director that I know, the we the sentiment, the feeling that we have, and this is something that I'm feeling is everybody is talking about AI adoption, and you see a lot of surveys and inquiries telling that people adopted, use AI a lot every day, every hour, even to breath. So AI is in everywhere. But in fact, it's not a lie. It's true, but how these people is actually using AI is the question. So people is using AI, making poor prompts to Gemini. This is not use AI. So yeah, this is use AI. Okay, but how can you how can we take more advantage in real use cases to orchestrate work, automate boring and new and time consuming stuff to make people work better and to deliver real results to the business? This is the question. And what we realized together, and we are working on that, is it's not a matter of technology, because technology, there are technology for almost anything currently in terms of automation. Before the rise of Gen AI, you have the robotization with UiPaths and things, and this thing without Gen AI was able to deliver a lot of value. So the conclusion we have is it's more about helping clients to cross the bridge in terms of real business wide adoption and embedding AI into the process and into the business rules and the business operations. And this relies in some aspects. First, architecture. Second, security. Third, culture. Culture slash education. Fourth, a strategy of adoption. So without that, you are going to push for tools, and tools are tools. A hammer is a tool. So what I can do with a hammer? Find nails. That's it. So we are reaching a maturity on this topic that makes us very comfortable to say and to discuss with large companies not only AI by AI and not only AI tools, but AI adoption as a company wide practice, but being very responsible with the expectations in all the dimensions of the company, since the shareholder to the machine operator down the shop floor, but helping people to cross this bridge and to really ingest AI in their day-to-day businesses. And we are doing this with IBM, with Microsoft, with Amazon. I would say it's not naive, and it's not I think irresponsible to say it doesn't matter the vendor, the technology vendor. All of them more or less deliver the same thing. The question is what to use where, what things are, how to prioritize the initiatives, and what brings real value to the company and to the company's clients or customers. This is the this is the key for successful projects in our experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Mihaela. Gustavo, do you have questions? We will wrap up soon. Um, Gustavo mentioned here he would join us. We have someone that I spoke or at least exchanged messages in the past. Maybe you know him, Rafael Leandro.
Rafael Leandro. But
Yes.
I'm seeing here the
The
question from
question from
Mateus.
Mateus, yes.
Question
What
from
is the main
Mateus.
challenge on scaling a services company in your? You kind of touched that, but you can repeat.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I think building the reputation.
Mhm.
So it's the scale. First,
Mhm.
be considered. Second,
Mhm.
be called. Third, be competitive. Fourth, be chosen. So this is kind of the ladder you have to climb. And for a service company, the first step of this ladder to be considered as an option
Mhm.
because you have reputation and credentials and you are there, I think is the most challenge to climb. The most
Mhm.
by far. By far.
I completely agree with that, and not much. It's very hard. It takes time. It's time, right? And yeah,
Yep.
I made a post
Yep.
the other day about it. Like, build something that you create desire, because if you create desire, people knock on your door, but it takes time, and otherwise you're just going to be competing on price, and then you're, forgive me my French, you're fucked. I mean, the ladder downwards, it's there's there's no end to the bottom, to the and upwards when you go up, it's yeah,
Someone has always a deeper pocket than yours.
yeah, exactly. Gustavo, go ahead, man.
Great. So that's been great conversation, and I wanted to address maybe a bit different but connecting point. Actually, the other day we have interacted a bit in a post you wrote, Paulo, about partnerships, and I'd like to ask you what's in your vision the position, yes, of partnerships in the sales process nowadays, because uh, if you see nowadays, even for partnerships teams, you have the problem of attribution, and you have a lot of companies struggling with that internally. So partnerships and sales teams, they don't interact, or they don't collaborate because of sales attribution and all of that. But on the other hand, if you have a partner, you have someone to that can help you to support you on a specific sale, but not going too deep. But uh, what's in your vision the participation or the influence that partnerships can have inside a sales process? Partnerships in the aspect that you want to focus on. That's
Yeah, put Gustavo. I think I'm a partnership guy, so I wouldn't tell you that I do not believe in partnerships or I do not believe in partnership practices. On the opposite, I truly believe that this is an important lever that both service and software companies and even other companies have to access to be successful in a faster and cheaper fashion. The question is the nature of the partnerships you have, and this varies from company to company, from value proposition to value proposition, and to market. And I would like to use a very weird example that is where I learned most of the stuff I know, um, which is Totus. So Totus is a software company, and they have a very strange, so to say, partnership model because it's they mostly rely on franchises. So where do you heard about franchises of software companies? And they were building this franchises model was a key factor on their success and growth throughout the Brazilian landscape because Because of this model, TOTUS is implemented as a leader in ERP software throughout the country, not only in São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Okay, but this works there because of philosophy. So the company culture, the company way of thinking and way of doing business connects with the franchisee model. And the franchising model has been built in a fashion that the franchisee make money and make real money if they penetrate their market. And there are so many, there are different markets are as the southern Brazil, like Santa Catarina, which is a very rich region, in the northern
Mhm.
Brazil, like Manaus, in the middle of the Amazon
Yeah.
rainforest. Yeah, and both guys are doing very, very, very well because of this. If I try to implement a franchise model in IBM or SAP, it didn't work because it's not the philosophy of the company. So it
Mhm.
do not connect. In the other hand, me at FCAMARA as a partner of multiple vendors, what is important for me? Partners that want and they are likely to engage with me, not only give me access to new leads and new opportunities and new accounts, but vendors that work with me and not only knock on my door to ask how many leads have you generated yesterday. So this make no sense. So in that sense, we are at FCAMARA, we are an agnostic company. We have no uh, technical, philosophy preferences for this or that vendor, but in fact, there are some vendors that are easier and nicer to do business in comparison to others. And this is a qualitative driver to decide who we are going to engage with, when, and with how level of priority and engagement and investment.
Yeah. Great, great. Yeah, thank you. I totally agree. I think also when it comes
Gustavo,
to
your sound is exploding a bit. Gustavo, that yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah. Better?
that yeah, it was exploding. It was
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I totally agree, and I think when it comes also to partnerships, it's also a matter of if that's in the DNA and culture of the company or not, and which type of partnerships. Because yes, well, me personally, what I don't like is when you see a lot of partnerships, but at the end, this is just one more sales team. And yes, and at the end, you see that that's not a partnership, but it's another point.
Yeah, and
Great. Thank
you
you.
have a lot of people, Gustavo, and tech vendors that see partners as an outsourced sales team. This didn't, this do not work, period. Only the exception is if the product of this vendor is in high demand from the market. This is the exception, and this is the exception for me as well. But business as usual, unlikely to work.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you.
So yeah, we're on 59 minutes, so an hour now plus the networking session. Paulo, thank you very much. I think this was a really, really good session. Yeah, if people want to know more about Paulo Felix and F Camera, what's the best way to yeah to have?
To reach me, LinkedIn. So slash Paulo Felix. No, no strange names there. You can find me as Paulo Felix Jr. search box. And FCAMARA, fcamara.com. Easy to find, easy to see, easy to learn what we are doing here as a company.
Brilliant. And if you're an Evolve member, Paulo is also in the community. He's also an advisor, so you're most welcome to reach out. You can reach out to me if you need, or Gustavo, and we connect you. Paulo, thanks. Catch you offline or in the other room. Thanks very much. And this was very good.
It's an honor. Thank you.